I didn't know what was louder that morning, the explosion in my barn or Karen's shrieking voice hollering about how I should be arrested for agricultural terrorism. One minute I'm tossing hay to a newborn calf, the next I'm watching my only tractor, my entire livelihood go up in smoke with Karen standing over it, crowbar in hand like some deranged villain straight out of a dollar store action movie ranting about morning serenity while my future literally burns. Yeah, that happened. Let me back up a sec. A few days earlier, I was just living my usual life running a high-output family farm on the very edge of the HOA's precious little empire. Close enough to hear them gossip about me over their white fences, but far enough away their rules didn't technically reach my fields. I wasn't some hobby farmer growing tomatoes for Instagram. I was the guy who supplied the school cafeteria, the senior center, half the grocery stores in town, and even the hospital's kitchen. Everyone at the farmer's market knew my name, same for the mayor's office. But none of that mattered to Karen. To her, I was just the nuisance who dared to fire up his tractor before sunrise. Karen's HOA had never covered my land, she just assumed her authority reached as far as her eyes could squint, and apparently my red tractor was enough to push her right over the edge. She started with the classics, fake cease and desist letters, blurry photos of my cows, and a complaint to the UPS guy that I was violating community harmony. The zoning office laughed her out the door, but Karen didn't get the hint. She cranked it up a notch, circulating petitions full of photoshopped images of my tractor spewing black smoke complete with fake decibel readings. The town ignored her, I laughed, but she took that as a challenge. The week leading up to the barn explosion, I'd heard rumors, Karen asking neighbors about noise abatement claims, land seizure, even environmental impact complaints. I shrugged it off. What could she really do? Well, Tuesday morning I found out. I'm loading lettuce for the hospital and suddenly I hear a golf cart crash through my fence. I rush outside. There's Karen, two HOA cronies in tow, one filming the other, waving laminated bylaws. Karen jumps out, makes a beeline for my barn, and before I can stop her, she's swinging a crowbar at my custom tractor's control panel. Sparks fly. I just about tackled her, but she jumped back, screamed I was threatening her, and her lackey yelled about peace and quiet. Karen shrieked, "This is for everyone who deserves to sleep in on a Sunday." I just stood there staring at my tractor's shredded cables, busted touchscreen, the engine cover caved in. She'd just wiped out my entire planting cycle in under 5 minutes. Cops showed up, called by someone in the HOA who claimed I'd trapped Karen in the barn. Instead of hauling her off, they accepted her stack of fake documents. I asked about pressing charges. They shrugged, told me to take it to civil court. Karen smirked all the way home like she'd won a gold medal. That afternoon, the phone calls started. The school district wanted to know where the produce truck was. The hospital nutritionist called, panicked about patients' meals. The grocery manager threatened to cancel my contract. I sat on my porch staring at the twisted hulk of my tractor, feeling the whole system unravel. It wasn't just one machine she destroyed, it was the artery feeding the entire town. And Karen? She still saw herself as the hero. That night I didn't sleep. I watched the security footage over and over, Karen's face wild with satisfaction, crowbar in hand, chaos everywhere. Her parting words, "You'll thank me when it's quiet." But that silence, it felt like the first note of a funeral march for the town if I didn't act fast. So the next morning I made up my mind, if Karen wanted a war, I'd show her what silence really looked like when the food stopped growing. I called every farmer I knew for help. Most were too busy or short on equipment. Best offer. A guy in Pine Bluff offered his old diesel tractor if I could drive 3 hours and bring my own gas. Not ideal. And the worst part, Karen hadn't just wrecked my equipment, she'd sabotaged years of carefully timed work, the whole ecosystem grinding to a halt, because she didn't want to hear an engine before 7 a.m. Then twist of fate, my friend in the town planning office emailed me a link to a video Karen had posted. She stood in front of her white-trimmed house pastel suit and all calling her attack on my tractor a neighborhood emergency broadcast. She announced she'd filed a state-level noise complaint backed by a petition signed by concerned neighbors. Even worse, she was trying to get the HOA temporary oversight of my farm for non-compliance. I realized then this wasn't about noise. It was about Karen trying to seize my land force, assail, and take over. Desperate, I called my grandpa Earl. He didn't hesitate. "I'm bringing the big girl." 2 hours later, he rolled up in a flatbed with his ancient steel-frame tractor, a beast that looked like it belonged in a museum but ran like the day it was built. Earl stayed, and we spent the rest of the day coaxing it to life. He even tried to bring his old flamethrower attachment. I talked him out of that. It wasn't much, but it was enough to get me back in the field. That night, another twist. My new security cams caught two figures creeping along the fence line, planting strange rods in the dirt. One was Karen's lanky nephew, Cody. I downloaded the footage, took it to the mayor. He watched in silence, then said, "That's criminal trespass and fraud. We're opening an investigation." Turns out those rods were fake noise sensors broadcasting to an app Karen's other nephew built. The town's patience snapped. People started showing up to help restaurant chefs, picking up salvageable crops, high schoolers volunteering, neighbors bringing tools. The community rallied not just online, but right there in my field. Still, I knew Karen wasn't done. Friday, her emergency broadcast video leaked to the main town Facebook group. Outrage exploded. Teachers complained about ruined school lunches. Nurses fumed about patient diets. Even the grandma with the sharpest tongue posted, "She cost my husband his favorite spinach. She's lucky, all I've got is a crochet needle." I met with my buddy Mark, a municipal lawyer, showed him everything: drone footage, sensor video, Karen's error-filled reports. He filed an emergency injunction, a complaint to the state agriculture board, the works. That weekend we went on offense. I called a community meeting, not in a stuffy boardroom, but under the old oak in my field. Over 60 people showed. Teachers, chefs, parents, even the quiet librarian who brought a petition with 1,000 signatures. I told them the whole story. By the end, folks were fired up, murmurs of legal action, even jokes about a Karen watch group. We cooked up a plan, the farmers market gambit. If Karen wanted to claim my farm was a nuisance, we'd show everyone how much the town relied on it. Sunday morning, we set up a massive pop-up market just outside the HOA entrance. Tents produced food trucks, music, even a llama. Earl wore a shirt that said, "Noise complaints are my cardio," and patrolled with a megaphone. Kids chalked "Farmers Feed Us" across the sidewalk. Karen lost her mind, tried to shut us down, but most of her board had abandoned her after the scandal. The mayor showed up, bought tomatoes, said, "You're anchoring the town, Jake. We've got your back." And then another bombshell: anonymous emails leaked from the HOA revealed Karen had faked noise data, redirected funds for her own legal bills and landscaping, plotted my removal. The HOA board suspended her, started foreclosure on her house for unpaid dues and penalties, and publicly dissolved the organization. Her power just poof gone. Meanwhile, the town threw me a Farmer Appreciation Day, hayrides, a corn-eating contest, the works. I got the key to the city. A kid handed me a drawing of a superhero carrot, and even Grandpa Earl led a line dance. For a moment, it felt like the world had righted itself. But Karen, of course, had one last meltdown. She filed a countersuit claiming the farmers market humiliated her and that aggressive vegetable sales cost her sleep. My lawyer, Mark, almost laughed himself off his chair, but we took it seriously. At the hearing, we showed the judge the footage of Karen attacking my tractor, her nephew faking sensor readings, the mayor's statement on the food supply disruption. The judge ruled in my favor. Karen was ordered to pay nearly $250,000 in restitution. The HOA was audited. Karen's house foreclosed, and she was banned from any HOA leadership for life. When the new solar tractor rolled up, quiet green, powered by community, stenciled on the side, the whole town came to watch. Even a marching band showed up. Karen peeked out from behind her curtains, a villain in exile. Yet just when I thought we were free, Karen tried to poison the new tractor with sugar. The security cams caught her red-handed. She got arrested for trespassing, vandalism, and violating her court order. Her house sold at auction, her name scrubbed from HOA records, banned for good. Someone put up a sign at the old fence line. "This land feeds us. Protect it." Kids planted flowers around it, folks left. Thank you notes. One simply read, "Because of you, my kid eats vegetables now." Life found its rhythm again. Deliveries resumed, school lunches back on track, the new hydroponic setup humming. I even got a letter with a picture of a balcony garden and a note, "Your farm made me rethink a lot. I'm growing now too." Signed, KW. I taped it to my fridge next to the carrot superhero. Life, like farming, is cycles. Stuff grows, withers, sometimes comes back stronger. I never expected a neighbor feud to end in a new state law or a GoFundMe for a tractor. But I learned that resilience isn't just about weathering the storm. It's about planting deeper roots and knowing that even a quiet seed can roar if enough people stand together. So when I roll out of bed, coffee in hand, sun just peeking over the fields, I don't worry about noise complaints. I just fire up the tractor, let it hum, and get to work because this land is louder, stronger, and more united than Karen ever was. What about you? Where do you stand when community is on the line? Team Karen or team Let the Fields Grow? I'd love to hear your thoughts below.